Hey, it's GW rocking you live once again, ladies and gentlemen. This weekend, or this week, earlier this week, it was on Facebook and everywhere else that the film The Lost Boys turned 33 years old, or 31 years old, I'm sorry. A lot of people do not know about this film. They see Lost Boys, they said, what is that, some Peter Pan thing? No. It was actually a very cool vampire film. Uh, it was released in 1987. I'm looking at the packaging. It's 87, trust me. The film is great, has an all-star cast. Kiefer Sutherland, Jamie Gertz, Jason Patric, Michael Herman, as well as Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, which later, starred in License to Drive. And Corey Feldman took the Lost Boys sequels to a new level. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But the first one is a definite classic. It is directed by Joel Schumacher and produced by Richard Donner. Richard Donner, for those of you who watch my Goonies review, is the person that directed the Goonies. Joel Schumacher has written stuff for like Lethal Weapon and 48 Hours, and it was a powerhouse combination. The one thing that you will notice about this vampire movie is that it is different from anything that came before it. Everybody was used to Dracula, or Nosferatu. But no one had seen modern day vampires this cool in a long time. Kiefer Sutherland is probably going to be best remembered for, I don't want to say the lead vampire, but he's definitely a very cool vampire in this. These vampires ride Harley Davidsons, they stay out late, and they fly, ladies and gentlemen. They fly. And when you see it, it's pretty cool. It's not done gimmickily or cheesily. It's actually done pretty well. The film is about Corey Haim's family who moves to Santa Barbara, California to stay with their grandfather. They start noticing things right off the bat that's weird, and they bump into Corey Feldman's character, Edgar Frog. Edgar Frog has lost his family to vampires and now is dedicating his life to stop the undead. Tries to convince Corey Haim's character, Sam, that they're vampires. Of course, no one believes him until it's too late. What makes this film pretty rocking is not only that the film is a very cool vampire film, as I said, but the music. The music of it is great. There's a rendition right over the credits of Cry Little Sister that makes this film, you just get, the hair on the back of your neck stands up. It's pretty cool. Greg Nicotero, I believe, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Let's see, trying to find out who did the makeup effects. Well, in any event, the makeup effects are pretty awesome, and there's a cool death by stereo scene that you should check out. Film is 31 years old. It did spawn a couple of sequels. Rumors, though, on the set were that Corey Haim's drug abuse basically was getting a little bit out of hand. He was supposed to be in a handful of additional scenes, and basically he was not. The DVD that you should pick up if you're interested in it, or you're a fan of Corey Haim or Corey Feldman, if you don't already have it, is the 2-disc special edition of The Lost Boys. What this film gives you, it gives you the film. It gives you 2 hours of bonus material. Okay? You got The Lost Boys, a retrospective documentary. You got the return of Sam and Frog, the Frog Brothers, the 2 Coreys, and Jameson Newlander. Jameson Newlander actually is in this film with Corey Feldman. They play the Frog Brothers, as I said before, vampire hunters. You have Vamping Out the Undead. Greg Cannon is the one that did the makeup effects. I'm sorry, Greg Nicotero did Walking Dead. But Greg Cannon's creations are great. He's the one that whenever they turn into vampires created them. He did all the gore effects. There's a cool death in a bathtub. They throw a vamp in holy water in a bathtub. It's pretty sweet. Corey Feldman shoots one of them with an arrow into a stereo. Awesome. Pretty cool. you get featurettes. One of them, I think, is a 2-minute segment called Lost Girls. This is important because at one point they were going to make a sequel. They were going to actually take the original formula for the Lost Boys and they were going to combine it and recreate it with girls. It fell flat. Another interesting fact about this movie is if you're a Bill and Ted fan, Alex Winter is in this film. Alex Winter, of course, played, I think, Ted Theodore Logan. I don't remember. Those films are too old for me to remember who played who. You have deleted scenes. You have the Lost Boys, Lost in the Shadows video. This is another cool video. Again, when you hear this, if you've seen the movie, it just harkens back to images of the film and it stays in your head. But the Cry Little Sister became the theme song for these 3 films. They were talking about a sequel for the longest time. Corey Feldman was very adamant about it. Corey Haim's drug problem sort of prevented it. And finally, I think in 2008, right before Corey Haim's death, they came up with a sequel. Again, Corey Haim's drug habit at this point was literally out of control. If you watch any documentaries on him, he has taken more pills than anybody in the world. He's done more crap, and Corey Feldman tried to save his life, and it's well documented. Any article you read about the 2 Coreys, you will read it. But nevertheless, Corey Feldman was adamant, and they finally made a sequel, and it is called Lost Boys, The Tribe. This takes the formula for the first one, where there is vampires again in Santa Monica, only this time the lead villain is played by Kiefer Sutherland's younger brother, Angus Sullivan. Basically, it's the same formula. A group of vampires are causing missing persons, and Corey Feldman's character, as well as Jason Newlander, the Frog Brothers, track down and see what's going on. This is fun to watch, even though it was a direct-to-video sequel. The thing that makes this fun is when Corey Feldman gets into his vampire slaying, attitude, and he's got it on, and he gets the weapons. The weapons that he has, he goes full auto in this, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking, he has just crazy stuff, and it's really fun to watch him just wipe out vampires left and right. This film didn't really get a lot of fanfare. In fact, it was deemed not that entertaining, but I will tell you what, it actually was a fun ride. I watched this a couple of times. So Angus Sutherland plays the lead villain, as I told you, Kiefer Sutherland's brother. This time, Santa Monica is transformed into Luna Bay. And like I said, missing persons, and it says, as the sun sets, the tribe rises. A group of adrenaline-fueled, stunt-crazed vampires tears up the surfing streets with non-stop action. But when Champion Surfer, this is where the story comes in, ladies and gentlemen. When Champion Surfer and his sister move in, dark secrets erupt into hot, blood-soaked passion and full-blooded fear. So again, basically what they're saying in that caption is that Surfer and his sister are terrorized by vampires. They seek help and they find Edgar Frog. Like I said, very fun movie to watch. Special features in this include the Lost Boys, the Tribe Action Junkies. It tells you about the choreography of the film, how it was done. Edgar Frog's guide to coming back alive. Basically, you get Edgar Frog, vampire hunter, telling you how to survive a vampire attack, which is pretty cool because Corey really dives into this character and you can tell he's having a great time doing it. It has, I think, 2 or 3 alternative endings and an all-new remix of Cry Little Sister by Tom Mack. As I told you earlier, the Cry Little Sister became a theme for this. And it has 3 Yeah Whatever music videos. I've never seen it. This is unrated. Again, it was a fun movie to watch, and it really set up the tone for the Lost Boys' next feature, which is called The Thirst. Now, this one I remember most because it was the last in the trilogy, and it was released in 2010. Corey has said he would love to go back and play Edgar Frog, but only if there was a viable story to it. He thought he basically the vampire thing has worn thin at this point for Corey Feldman, but this is the role that he relished. You know, it wasn't, Mouth from the Goonies, which we'll talk about a sequel later on down the road. It was Edgar Frog. He really enjoyed this character so much that, again, he pushed this. Now, rumor has it that The Tribe and this movie, The Thirst, were supposed to be one big movie. They were shot at the same time. Guess because of availability. But this one has to do with an alpha vampire. And that's just like your alpha predator. He's stronger than all the other vampires, and he starts wiping out, left and right. And he starts turning ravers into an army of the undead. Okay? Again, the only thing that stands between the human race and annihilation, you guessed it, the Frog Brothers. Corey Feldman and Jameson Newlander. This one is really cool because they up the weapons in this one. We're talking, let's see, double barrel holy water balloon launchers. We're talking multi-arrow crossbows. We're talking the whole 9 yards. Corey went all out. It's World War III against these vampires in this film. This film, again, it's direct-to-video, and it's very fun to watch. But a lot of people don't give these films, the credit they deserve. They say, oh, Corey Feldman direct-to-video, whatever. So, but I picked these up, and like I said, these were really awesome. The one special feature which made me laugh on this one, actually, is Charisma Carpenter hosts The Art of Seduction Vampire Love. For those of you who don't know, Charisma Carpenter was a regular on, you guessed it, Buffy the Vampire Slayer and later Angel. So she would know a little bit about vampires, but I don't think she's really qualified to make a judgment call, but that's just me. But The Lost Boys, like I said, 31 years old. And the first one, like I said, it's a classic. There is a cool trick in the first one, and I really like this. And it was one of the moments that stick out to you. The character of Michael. He's in the vampire cave with the vampires. And Kiefer Sutherland's character says, why don't you have some noodles, Michael? And the camera looks down. Regular Oriental noodles you'd get at a Chinese shop. He says, all right, takes a bite. They're maggots. That is a moment that will stand up to you. And again, he looks down, and they're noodles. And it's just one of those trippy sequences you remember. Just like you remember the Death by Stereo if you've seen it. And like I said, keep an eye out for Alex Winter when you watch it. He wasn't really too big of an actor. He went on to be in the Bill and Ted sequels. And then he went on to do an independent movie called Freaked with Randy Quaid, who we all know is Lulu. But if you get a chance and you have a weekend off or there's nothing on, order these or find these on Netflix. I don't know. But Joel Schumacher and Richard Donner did a very, very, very good rendition of, and they really kick-started the vampire genre, I think. A lot of people think The Lost Boys is one of the greatest vampire films out there. The two sequels, if you're a Corey Feldman fan like myself, you want to snap them up, even if it's not acting all to par, or if and it's funny because Warner Brothers put this out. And, I just saw that. And it's like, if Warner Brothers had any faith in it, they would actually bring this to theaters. Warner Brothers also put out the first film. So it shows you they're kind of losing interest in their franchise. A lot of stuff goes direct to video. They figure they can reach a wider audience, which is fine. But I would have loved to go see this in the theater and see people's reactions to Corey Feldman kicking some vampire ass. So that's my recommendation. Check out The Lost Boys, and I'm glad the thing is 33 years old or 31 years old. It has stood the test of time, and it has an all-star cast. I mean, Jason Patric, Kiefer Sutherland, Alex Winter, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, Jamie Gertz. You cannot go wrong. So that's my video pick. You guys keep watching. I'll keep making these reviews. And I just want to say, on a special note, I really appreciate all the support. And I want to give a shout out to my one friend, Rebecca Lowe's. She she gave me a copy of Super Troopers 2, which we're going to review this weekend, and I'm going to give you the ins and the outs and the what have yous. And I just want to say thank you, Rebecca. I also want to say, whenever I go to your cubicles and I, start talking to you guys, you guys are the greatest. Because I just started this. I did a Quiet Place review, and I thought that review sucked. I really did. But you guys have faith in it. So, because of you guys, I'm sitting here doing reviews, and I love it, and I love the positive feedback. So, hopefully one day I'll be signing a DVD of these things. Hey, who knows? And if I ever get a film talk, James, you coming with me, all right, brother? All right. So yeah, check out The Lost Boys and see one of the greatest vampire films of all time. And I'll see you in Santa Monica.